How's it going, YouTube? Today I'm going to be making a video on making the switch from Apple to PC, or in this case specifically MacBook Pro 2018 15-inch to a Razer Blade 15 2020 base model. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. I have many thoughts on these two devices here and the two operating systems that each one of these comes with. Now, Apple on one hand is completely just beautiful, elegant, works seamlessly with your iPhone, your Apple Watch, your iPad, your Apple TV. Apple's little ecosystem, it's just really refined and it works just seamlessly. However, the biggest issue I have with Apple and Apple products is what they do exceptionally well. But if you would like to do anything outside of what Apple says, you can do, then you're going to have an issue. For example, if I have a MacBook Pro and I'd like to do some light gaming or even some, cool Call of Duty, Apex Legends, whatever, aside from, loading Boot Camp onto this, that's going to be a no-go. Which, by the way, Boot Camp with the new M1 chips, that's no longer going to be an option, along with, eGPUs, which is kind of really head-scratching considering the Blackmagic eGPU was sold alongside the MacBook lineups for years now. So for them to just kink it is it is really confusing to me. Now, on the other hand, the Razer Blade, I will say that the OS Windows 10 is not as pretty or as good looking as Mac OS. However, being able to just do whatever I'd like and having the freedom to do so is just, I can't really put a price on that. Like, just to really put it in a perspective, there are 4 Thunderbolt 3 USB-C connections on this, and that's it. You have a headphone jack, but that's not really going to serve you too well when you want to hook up a Bluetooth mouse of some sort, or if you'd want to really hook up anything else besides a Thunderbolt 3 monitor, which realistically only takes one port. I just don't understand the choice from Apple on that. I know it's to make money at the end of the day, and they are business, but what just really doesn't, I really don't understand is their new iPhones. If the iPad Pro, the MacBook Pro, they both have USB-C ports because they are the Pro models, but the iPhone Pro has Lightning. For what purpose? I don't know. The whole I/O situation on this is just abysmal, and honestly, carrying around a dongle compared to just literally having everything you could possibly need on one machine, I really took it for granted. I know that having ports is something that an older machine would have, or if you looked at Apple machines, MacBooks before 2015, they pretty much had more or less everything that you needed, give or take, an Ethernet port here or there. But I digress. That is just such a breath of fresh air to have everything that I need on this, and to also have a USB-C Thunderbolt 3 port, which I am actually using to drive my 4K LG display. I'll get a little bit more in depth when I do a review on this machine and how it's been treating me. It's been around a week or two, give or take, with this, or maybe a little closer to 2 weeks, and I have to say I am in love with this machine. So next, I would like to really kind of dive into the software. Why would you want to choose an Apple product? the reasoning for that, at least for me, was everything is just extremely optimized. Like Final Cut Pro, Logic, iMessage, everything just, it worked like phenomenally. And you have the new M1 chip, which at face value is amazing. Like, you know, they say 98% better than all CPUs of PCs and this and that. And I don't really know how legitimate that is or what they're referencing when they use that statistic. Regardless, I'm sure those machines are going to completely crush pretty much all of the competition, as well as the past MacBooks that they have put out. However, what they didn't really kind of focus on is, you know, even the MacBook Pro 13-inch, in order to even get 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, you need to go with the Intel-based MacBook. Like, if you choose the M1 spec MacBook Pro 13-inch, and you would like that to, you know, be as spec'd out as possible, you want to get all the RAM, which only goes up to 16 gigs, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. For a Pro machine at $2,000, you also only get 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports on that machine, where on this Razer Blade here, or many other Windows machines, if for that matter, you can get Ethernet ports, display ports, multiple USB type A ports. Really, it is just a night and day difference. And if you truly are a professional, you're going to have a lot of equipment that you're going to be hooking up to these machines, and carrying around a dongle at all times for every purpose just kind of seems it really is a pain. Hopefully, you know, other manufacturers don't follow suit with Apple in that regard, because I cannot stress how much I've appreciated having every port I need on just one machine. With the M1 chip as well, I think it's really important to try and take a step back and ask yourself what you are going to be using these machines for. Apple and their MacBooks are going to have just phenomenal like Geekbench scores and this and that, but at the end of the day, you're only really going to be able to use Final Cut, Logic, all of the Apple-centric programs, and you're not really going to have the freedom to move outside of, you know, the Apple walled garden. And something that kind of just bewildered me a bit is when Apple during their keynote tried to hit a lot on gaming, and now, you know, Apple like iPhone like or iPad games are going to be playable on Macs because they're going to have the same architecture. Now, I have not heard of any Apple Arcade game or anything like that that is just, you know, been an awesome game to play or stood out or it's getting great reviews. It all just kind of seems like temple run, pay to play weird games that just don't really hold any weight compared to legitimate AAA titles that come out for PC, like, you know, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty. I personally love to play Street Fighter, and this thing just can handle any of those games at really great settings and frame rates, and I can video edit on this, and it just, you gotta ask yourself what you'd like, because I do, personally what I use these machines for, or what I used to use this one for, was my college work, video editing, music production, and it did all of those really well. But I also have, you know, the OG PS4 that's sitting over there on the desk, and it pumps out maybe like 24 FPS when I'm playing Street Fighter, which at a minimum you'd like to, well, it locks out at 60 FPS. I didn't realize how much more enjoyable that game would be at 60 FPS above 1080p until I busted this thing out. And I cannot tell you how awesome it is to just be boom, 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 jamming out an essay and then as soon as you're done, click on the shortcut for Street Fighter 5 or Call of Duty or Gears of War, and it just fires right up. And you can use your keyboard or whatever, or you could use an Xbox controller or any other Bluetooth gamepad that you have, and everything just works. And it is like, I would have never imagined everything just working so seamlessly and it being so, fun, honestly. I've really enjoyed using this machine. As opposed to this, don't get me wrong, it is great for schoolwork, great for students, and it works exceptionally well with your iPhone, but you're just kind of given what Apple gives you, and that's it. With this, you really do have the freedom to do whatever it is you'd like. What I can compare that to is, an iPhone versus an Android. On an iPhone, you're barely getting widgets and that same lock screen home screen or UI that has been there for, a decade at this point, to creating your own launchers, creating your own widgets, different homepage launchers. Everything is just however you want it. You can download APKs. It's just really night and day difference. I would almost say yin and yang of sorts. One thing that I would really like to hit on, something that kind of really made me hesitant on going the Windows and PC, Android route, is something called the sunken cost fallacy. And basically what that is I've got so many Apple products. I've already got an Apple Watch, an iPhone, an iPad, Apple TVs, MacBooks. There's no way that I could, start going this way now. I spent money on Final Cut, Logic, this and that. And that is just really how you get trapped into one brand. And I really didn't even think about this until I saw Dave 2D's video of how he finally left Apple. He had just so many great points, and I'll link that video down below in the description so you can check that out if you haven't. But to be able to buy a Razer laptop, a Samsung smartphone, have Google Smart Home Chromecast things in the house, and just have everything just how I want it, not how a company tells me it's supposed to be, is I really enjoy fine-tuning things like that. Now, another thing that I just cannot get over is the fact that you can open up this laptop and other Windows laptops alike, as well as desktops, and just upgrade to your heart's content. With this MacBook, everything is completely soldered on, and if you don't buy it how you want it initially, then you're stuck with what you got. What I mean by that is this laptop over here has 2 slots for an SSD and 2 slots for RAM, and one of those slots for each is not filled. So what that means is I can go on Amazon and buy a terabyte of Samsung SSD and just open this up, plop it in there, buy an extra 16 gigs of RAM while I'm at it, and now I have a terabyte and a half of storage in this with 32 gigs of RAM for roughly $200, where now with MacBooks, especially with the M1 chips, just going from 8 gigabytes of RAM to 16 gigabytes is like a $200 upgrade in and of itself, which, I just don't really... The Apple tax, I get it. You are getting a phenomenally built machine with all of this great aluminum, and it is honestly the best built Ultrabook on the market. Now this Razer Blade 15, it is just awesome. It's the matte black MacBook that we've all been dreaming about for years. The build quality, there's a reason why Razer's called the Apple of Windows or PC. It's just an awesome machine. Like, the aesthetics are like right where I'd want them to be in comparison to this. Now, down to my final thoughts. An Apple product, or a MacBook in this case, will serve you exceptionally well depending on the tasks that you'd like to do. Productivity wise, it will completely crush it. But if you even want to do a hint of gaming, this is just completely out of the question, especially with the new Apple ARM silicone architecture. 2-3 years from now, or who knows how long, but like boot camp, all that is just slowly, there is an end in sight. This can only get better. You know, this still supports, with the Intel chip that's inside of it, supports eGPUs, with, you know, any kind of graphics card that you'd want to throw in there. Sure, there's a little bit of bottlenecking, but honestly, with this machine, with the RTX 2060 inside of it, crushes any game, any video editing session, anything that I throw at this, it handles. And it handles it really well. You just need to fine tune the settings to whatever monitor that you're using, or if you're using the blade itself, that 144 hertz screen that is super nice. I really enjoy that, especially with first person shooter titles such as Apex Legends or Call of Duty or Halo or Gears. This can crush Final Cut, Logic, everything like that. But let me tell you, if you're on the market for a new machine and you like gaming and you've been thinking about leaving Apple for quite some time now, you can't go wrong with this. Especially if you're going to buy from Best Buy. Right now they have, I don't know if I'd call it a special or something like that, but they have a thing where if you buy one of their products, you have until like January 2nd or 6th or something like that to return it. So you have roughly a month and a half from today to see if this is right for you. But I have a feeling if you go down the PC route, especially with something like a Razer Blade or a Zephyrus G14 that can just crush games, crush video editing, crush anything you throw at it, I really don't think that you will ever look back to this. If you enjoy the freedom to go from working on college work to playing video games to editing videos and making music and just doing all of that in one seamless machine, this will do it for you. If you'd like to buy the new Mac machines, I can't blame you. They're going to crush it. The new battery life and everything looks amazing. But for me personally, in my use case, if I'm going to be spending that much money, I'd want absolutely nothing to hold me back from doing what I'm doing. Sure, you could buy like a new Mac and a next-gen console, and that'll probably solve your craving for gaming and for productivity. But just to be able to take everything in one portable package wherever you go, I just don't think you can beat it. So if you guys have any questions for me, if I didn't really answer anything that you any questions that you had coming into this video, please leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I really do try and reply to all of the comments, and if you do comment, just look back a day or so later so we could have a nice discussion down there. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Later.